record. Welcome everyone to today's weekly training session. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know that we deal with a number of different topics at these live training sessions, everything from messaging and branding to audience building to marketing to sales and client acquisition. And today we're going to be specifically dealing with client fulfillment, meaning you found some leads, you enrolled them in your program. Now we're looking for ways to not only deliver a rock star experience for those clients, but ultimately we're looking to create some real leverage. Now I've included this title here, Thinking Beyond the Group Coaching Only Model to Optimize for Client Success, simply because there is a popular idea out there right now. It is literally everywhere, and there are some very big names in the industry that are pushing this idea, and that's the idea that in order to create some leverage for yourself as a service provider, in order to scale your business, that you must make a transition to a group coaching only type of a model. Now, does group coaching have its place? Absolutely, 100% it certainly does. In some contexts, clients will get a better result when there's a combination of one-on-one plus group coaching. But what I wanted to do today is give you the top 5 ways to create real leverage in client fulfillment in your business without defaulting to this popular idea that, oh, I have to just do a group coaching only type of a program, because depending on the nature of your offer, only group coaching may not be appropriate for your audience, especially in cases where we're dealing with highly sensitive information, or if you have a plan in place for customized field work that you give to people to help them take next steps. Whatever the case may be, group coaching only isn't always the best option. And of course, that's a principle we find throughout life, right? Like if you find one person saying this is the only way to do it, and there's no other possibilities, usually you want to steer clear of that type of a coach, because they are pushing one single tactic rather than approaching business building and client fulfillment from a principle-based approach, which is what we are doing here today and in the Online Coach Creator. So without further ado, yes, Julia says, yay, I definitely don't want to do group coaching. Julia, you are going to love the session today then, because you don't have to if you find that it is not the best fulfillment model for the nature of your offer. And I'm going to give you all 5 ways that you can create more and more leverage in your business without having to use group coaching. So real quick, by leverage, I mean something that you do that not only creates a better result for your client, but simultaneously creates more freedom in your schedule as the coach, which, yes, that sometimes does include a few key pieces of automation. Okay, so it's important that we acknowledge both of those pieces must be present. Typically, the group coaching only or preferred group coaching model tends to emphasize the fact that, hey, as a coach, you don't have to work as much, but you're making more money. And we all go like, yay, that's awesome. But the problem with that mentality is if you can't make more money and work less and also serve your people on a deeper level, then by the very nature of that arrangement, it is not a long-term sustainable solution. So let's dig in here. Without further ado, what are the top 5 ways to create real leverage in client fulfillment? Number 1, I simply call this the art of the fieldwork assignment. A fieldwork assignment is any task or structured list of action items that you give your clients to do after the session that they have with you in order to prepare for their next session. So it is customized, guided assignments that accelerate the client's results. Okay, so what that means is let's take, for example, my context in the online coach creator. Okay, when I first started working with people, I didn't have any of these like customized fieldwork assignments or structured guided assignments ready to go. So what would happen is I would have a one-on-one session with somebody, and I ran mine in a 60-minute format because that typically is what we needed, about 50 to 55 minutes or so. And then at the end of that session, then I usually tended to spend another hour afterwards trying to like put things together. Hey, Brandon Henry, what's happening, man? Trying to put things together and then give them some sort of guidance or next steps as a result of that. So what I found was I was spending an hour in session with somebody and then an hour after the session. And then I was spending another hour or two to prep for the next session. And it was like 4 hours a week per client for me as the coach. And what I came to realize was if I create some really targeted fieldwork assignments that I know people are going to need, if I create those ahead of time, I don't have to spend multiple hours per client per week structuring those fieldwork assignments. So here's what I did at first was, what do you know almost every client will struggle with or just definitely need, if you want to put it in a positive frame? So again, in my context, I found that, wow, every new client that I get, they struggle to clearly define their messaging and their branding, specifically in describing what it is that they actually do. So instead of trying to teach somebody that every single time that I met with every single new client, I created a few structured fieldwork assignments that took them through a number of different self-reflection exercises that allowed them to define their messaging and their branding before they even met with me, so that when we then did get on a one-on-one coaching call, they had already done all this work ahead of time and they were amped up. They were ready for feedback and implementation. And that's the power here. So rather than as the coach spending all your time teaching and training around these concepts, you can fill those gaps with other leveraged tools, fieldwork assignments and digital training modules, for example, so that when you get to the one-on-one sessions, you can focus specifically on steps forward. It's the action, it's the implementation of those concepts. And that is what sets your program apart. It's no longer an informational program. It's now a transformational program because it is action-based, which leads us to number 2. Structured training modules that are action-based. And what I mean by that is, if you've been with me for a while, you know we always ask 3 questions, right? Is what do you want them to know? What do you want them to do? And how will they know they're successful? Meaning, if you're including digital training modules as part of your coaching experience, which I highly, highly recommend, the opposite of what you want, you don't want to just add a bunch of informational stuff, right? So you go like, oh, module 1 is this, and I'm going to add 3 hours of digital training content. No. What is the minimum amount of content that you can give to this person that will inspire them to take an action? So if I want my client to design a very clear and concise program summary of the new offer that they are going to bring to the market as a new coach, then I'm going to give them a very short digital training module around that topic. Then what do I want them to do? Well, I want them to outline their program process. So I'm going to help them do that. And then how will they know they're successful? Well, ultimately, they're going to have in hand a digital marketing asset that has a clear outline of their program summary. And it's going to be very neatly and professionally graphic designed. Okay. That's how they know that they'll be successful. And ultimately, they'll know they're successful when they start enrolling their first 10 clients. But for that step, I want them to do that. So for me as the coach, instead of spending, it would take probably 3 to 4 hours of my time in session with somebody to outline everything and then teach them the concepts and walk them through, this is how you put it together. This is the difference between a phasic process and a linear process. Here's how you create a holistic process if that's appropriate for your clientele. Instead of me walking them through that every time, I put together 2 different 30-minute modules gives them concepts, and after each one, there's an exercise that they do on their own, because now instead of me trying to do it all for them, I'm actually empowering them to understand those concepts on a deep level, put it together, and then when we get to our next one-on-one session, we work on refining the work that they've done, we do some editing, and then again, action and implementation. The coaching process itself should be about helping someone take whatever next step, whatever next action that they actually need to take to make their life better. Again, I'll stress this. It's the difference between creating an informational program and a transformational program. And as a bonus, because you're also creating leverage, you're creating leverage for yourself and that other criteria, right? And you're getting a better result for your client because you're not relying on strictly informational training modules. Okay, so just quick recap. We've got the art of the fieldwork assignment. We've got structured training modules, which are action-based, not just informational. And then the third one here, we have coaching session preparation. Now, this can be in the form of a pre-session questionnaire, but anything that gives you, as the coach, anything that gives you insight into what your client has been working on that you can quickly review before a session. Usually I recommend not more than 5 or 10 minutes before a session, okay? It doesn't do any good to try to create these leverage tools if you're gonna still spend an hour before the session, an hour in the session, and an hour after the session every single week with every single client. We're trying to deliver that better result without as much time commitment. So we've got a pre-session questionnaire. I love shared Google Drive folders. I love these because anything that your client is working on outside of a session, you want to have one centralized location where they can upload that, where you can also have access to it. So whenever they are ready for you to take a quick peek, usually it's before the session, those resources are all available in one centralized location. Again, not only leverage in terms of the progress your client's making, but now you can avoid that back and forth email, right? Like, and I did this in the early days, right? It was like every client, it was always, hey, did you complete a what? Yeah, I got it done. Or, oh, I'm almost done. Then I'll email it to you. Then I have to email it. Then I have to download it. Then I have to file it away. Then I have to find it the next time. And it just gets to be a headache. I'm trying to eliminate all that email clutter, simply because not only does it free up my mind share a little bit to think about higher level strategic things, but it just makes everything that I do with my clients that much more organized so that they are able to take steps forward at a more accelerated rate. Okay, so that's that one. Number 4, develop and refine your intellectual property. Okay, so here's what I mean by this specifically. Your intellectual property, meaning you already have a proprietary process that you are using with your clients. Now, you may not realize that's what it is. You may not call it that yet, but whatever coaching path or coaching process that you take somebody through, that is your proprietary process, okay? So you already have that in place. The idea here is putting it in a form that we'll say your clients can consume and understand what part of the process they are in. Okay, the reason this creates leverage is because you no longer have to always check in with your clients to explain to them the big picture process of the coaching program, because they know, okay, phase 1 is this, phase 2 is this, phase 3. And in your sessions, you can talk about, hey, listen, we're in phase 3. Okay, remember we talked about phase 3, we're going to accomplish XYZ, and the main outcomes for that phase are this. Therefore, because of what we talked about in this coaching session, I need you to go and review module 7, which is in phase 3. Remember we talked about having these all play together, the structured training modules that are action-based, right? So if you know your process forward and backwards, and your client knows the process forward and backwards, now in the middle of the session, while you're typing up the customized field work, or at the last 5 minutes of a session, which is where I usually do it, I know, hey, we're in phase 3 right now. That means they need to go do module 7.3 and 7.4 if they want to take the next step forward. I just quickly type that into a fieldwork email so that at the end of the session, I don't have to spend that hour reviewing and like trying to figure out what next steps are. I already know what the next steps are, but the benefit to the client is that they're not doing it on their own, and they get to talk to their coach, and their coach says, hey, based on exactly what we talked about, we know you're in phase 3. We know you need to take these steps within module 7. Go watch these 2 videos, then do XYZ as laid out here in the rest of the customized fieldwork email. And then as soon as you're done with that, you immediately book your next session with me, because we're going to do some feedback and we're going to do some implementation and make sure that you got all your ducks in a row. Okay. So developing and refining your intellectual property, that not only plays in your favor long-term as a business owner, in terms of like training other coaches underneath you if you want to head in that direction, training the sales team potentially if you want to head in that direction as you scale. But it also gives your clients the reassurance that you are taking them down a path that, even though the path and the process is predictable, their experience of it is what makes it a customized coaching program. All right. And then number 5, the guiding principle, and this one kind of speaks for itself here. Don't do for your client what they can do for themselves. We want to empower people. And again, that's going to be the difference between an informational program that tries to like feed someone information. Here, more information for you. It's largely passive. Rather, you inspire your clients to be active and to take the actions that empower them to do the thing that they need to do. So I'll give you, this might seem like a silly example, but in my line of work, I deal with a lot of people that are struggling with the tech side of things, because we're talking about online coaching, online fulfillment, online sales, all this kind of stuff. So if they need to, for example, integrate their Zoom account with their Facebook account so that they can do live streams from their Zoom call into their Facebook group, which is what's happening right now, I don't sit there with them for 1 hour and walk them through every step of the way. I go to Zoom, I copy paste the exact tutorial link that they need to make that process happen. And I just say, here is the link that you need. Now I helped them because it took me 3 seconds to copy paste that link, but now they don't have to spend an hour searching on the internet trying to find the one right link to the one tutorial that's going to move their business forward. They can just trust, oh, my coach has done this before. He knows this is the thing that I need to do. Boom, I'm going to read through here, try to make that happen. Then as a bonus, they are now empowered. They realize, holy cow, I can integrate my Zoom account with my Facebook account. That gives me confidence that I can integrate my Stripe and PayPal account with my Kajabi account. It gives me confidence that I can buy multiple domains and set up a vanity URL that redirects to a landing page. Like it opens up their mind to realize that, hey, there's all these little bits that are part of this process. And if I'm empowered to do them myself, yes, it's a little more frustrating at first, because learning is frustrating no matter how you slice it. It's uncomfortable. But now I don't always have to hire somebody else at $10 to $30 an hour to do all these little bits for me. Now, as you scale and grow, obviously you'll want to hire somebody else at $15 an hour to like, hey, handle this tech stuff for me. And, I'll pay you whatever to do it. That makes sense later on. But when you're brand new, when you're just getting started, it's to your advantage to do as much for yourself as you possibly can under the guidance of a coach who can show you, if you learn this skill set, that's good for you. You'll need that long term. This other skill set, probably don't really need to learn that because that's something someone else can handle for you. Another great example is copywriting. I'll write this one down because this one is vital. I get people asking me all the time, like, hey, do I need to hire a copywriter, or who's a good copywriter that you can recommend? And I just say, you know what? I don't recommend hiring a copywriter in the early days. Number one, because the good ones are extremely well paid. And if you don't have any cash flow coming into your business yet, that's probably not an expense you want to incur right now at the phase you're in. But also because writing your own copy for organic posts, for sales pages, for landing pages, for emails, for all that kind of stuff, writing your own copy helps you connect with your audience and helps you develop the messaging that you're going to then be sending to your audience. So yes, it can be a struggle. It's hard. There's a learning curve there. But by developing your own copywriting skill, you're now empowering yourself to do the things for your own business that as the owner you can and should be doing. So that's what we've got here. Let's quickly go through these. I wanted to keep this short and sweet, and then I am going to open it up for questions. So if you have any other questions, any comments, just pop those down in the chat box, the comments below. I've got my window open. I am going to read those. I am going to answer those. But real quick, let's just review these. The real leverage, okay? Thinking beyond just the group coaching only model, because that's not necessarily the best for everybody. Here's the ways to create leverage. The art of the fieldwork assignment, which again empowers your client to accelerated results. Structured training modules that are action-based, right? That's the most important piece there, is action-based modules. Coaching session preparation. The simplest forms of these are pre-session questionnaires and shared Google Drive folders, but there could be other ways that you can prepare for your coaching sessions without having to go the long back and forth email threads. Develop and refine your intellectual property so that your clients are reassured that they are in the midst of a structured process, and it keeps you on track. And then finally, the guiding principle: don't do for your client what they can do for themselves. Empower them. Julia says, once you find your voice, a copywriter can mimic it, which is ideal. Yes, 100%. Once you found that clarity in your messaging, then you can give all this, the messaging source documentation, you can give that to a copywriter and explain, I want to capture this tone and this voice. And by that point in your business, then you would be cash flowing enough that you could hire somebody to handle those copywriting skills for you. So anyway, all that to say, you can put any of these or all of these into play right away. So my challenge for you, for everyone watching today, if you're on the live stream, or hey, if you're watching this later on the Archives membership, for now, just pick one. Pick one that you know, this is relevant for me and my clientele, and I'm going to put this into play immediately. Because the sooner you do it, the sooner you can bake in this type of leverage into your system, the more fluidly that you will be able to scale long term. So I hope you found this helpful. This replay will be available in the group for the next 48 hours. And then I'm going to upload it to the archives. Remember, the archive membership, $47 a month. You get access to all the training. There's a $7 30-day trial if you're not in it yet, which does also include a free coaching session with me along with that $7 trial. So make sure you take advantage of that. And then if you haven't heard already, the Experts Legacy Retreat is coming up this May 21st through 24th. The main 2 days are going to be that Friday, Saturday, 22nd and 23rd. I am running that special for everybody in this group. It's a $1,900 retreat, and I'm running it at $900 off. So it is only $1,000 if you are here in the Online Coach Creator group, if you are a member of this group. If you want more details on that, let me know. Where are the archives housed? Denise, I will message you separately. The archives is, I'm not sure, I can't remember if, are you a member yet? If you are, I'll send you your password, but it is, I use Kajabi for all my digital content, and it's housed on there. So you get a separate login and password for the archive content. So you have on-demand access to not only this session that we did today, but all of the other sessions, audience building, sales, messaging, all those topics that we talked about before. So Denise, I'll shoot you a quick message after this live session here. Otherwise, if you want more details about that Experts Legacy Retreat, just let me know. We are going to be focusing on action-oriented, as we talked about here. So yes, there's going to be some teaching from a few experts, but we're also going to be primarily focused on workshopping some things. So the value proposition here is you're going to make more progress in 3 days than most coaches make in 3 months, because you're going to be totally focused, totally dialed in. We're going to help you create a 90-day action plan so that when you leave that retreat, you have everything lined up for exactly what you have to do over the course of the next 90 days. So if you're at a place where, hey, you're either just getting launched or you feel like you've been kind of stuck for the last couple of months and you need that that quick jolt to get your business moving forward, let me know, shoot me a message, comment below, and I will send you the full details on the Experts Legacy Retreat. Other than that, friends, oh, perfect timing. We're right almost at the 11 o'clock mark. Have an amazing Monday. And if you're here with me on the Zoom call, meaning you are in the archive membership already, then stick around because we do have live group coaching after the live stream is ended for everyone who's a part of the archive membership. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you again later.